Hey guys, and welcome back to another video on week 4 of our run up to 8th edition Warhammer 40k. And from the last video there was an awful lot to get in, but since I've done that last video an awful lot more information has come out as expected. So I've titled this sort of week 4.1, and there's plenty more to cover in the run up to 8th edition. So what have we had since my last video dropped? So we've had more information on vehicles. We've had a very in-depth live Q&A, part 2, more information on close combat weapons, and then finally a faction focus on the Imperial Knights. So the way I'm going to run this video then is I'll do the update information on vehicles, close combat weapons and the faction focus. But with the live Q&A I've taken all the key points and put it into my own words and just given the update, and what I'll do is I'll just play some music while that goes on, and then you can read all the details rather than me reading them to you. And there is quite a lot to cover, so if you need to stop the video, pause or whatever, then feel free to do so. But first thing we'll do is we'll jump straight into the new vehicles. One of my favourite memes has come up here again once more. It's driving me closer, I want to hit them with my sword. Now that vehicles have got the same kind of profile as infantry and other models within the game, this has opened up some new interesting developments within the vehicle stat lines and how they work. So as mentioned, and we know now that the same profile applies to a regular infantryman as it does to a vehicle, so they have wounds and toughness and attacks, which means that they can attack in combat, although that's now represented by a really poor to hit statistic with their weapon skill, so it's going to take a 5 or a 6 to hit. They're affected by any other kind of rule, such as moving and shooting, so if you stand still you fire at normal ballistic skill, but if you move your heavy weapons are going to be at -1 in most cases. And vehicles can now charge, and this is going to represent the new tank shock. So you can pile into combat, you can charge and all the rest of it that you can with any other model, so it's a good set of changes for vehicles. Now with the Q&A, once more we had a live Warhammer TV Q&A with Pete Foley and Andy Smiley, and what I'm going to do is stick on some music for you and let you guys read all the updates that came from it. So that's the Q&A covered. There's plenty of information in there now, but we've had some more information about how close combat weapons are going to work, and this is quite an exciting point, especially for those melee focused armies and all those sergeant and character upgrades. This is going to be quite interesting to see. So we've had 5 different profiles of close combat weapons now, so the power axe, maul, sword, chainsword and power fist. And we can see those core power weapons, the axe, maul and sword, all either offer a buff in strength or a buff in AP modifiers. Should make it not necessarily an auto choice in which to pick. And a good one for me is the chainsword now, that's going to gain you an extra additional attack, which kind of represents how vicious those weapons are in close combat. Certainly going back to sort of the fluff and the books and so on. And then finally, these old unwieldy weapons that used to strike last are now getting a -1 on the to hit roll. So your characters that are probably going to be 2+ to hit are still going to be really beneficial from those power fists, and especially now that charging goes first. So Terminators are really going to be rocking those power fists now, I think. Finally then, we had the faction focus, and this was on the Imperial Knights. Very keen for me, as you can check any of my previous videos. I have a healthy obsession or an unhealthy obsession with these giant beasts, and we've got some stats coming up here now. So we know they're now 24 wounds with a toughness of 8, that 5 up invulnerable save which comes from their iron shield. Thermal cannons are looking pretty beastly, especially with a 5+ model target count. And we know that the Reaper Chainsword now rocks in a flat 6 damage when that hits. So that's going to be wrecking a few multi-wound characters and models pretty quick. I'm really quite excited about that. And the Thunder Gauntlet now being able to sort of throw things around and cause mortal wounds is going to be really exciting to see. Really thematic and really exciting to see. And you can still field your knights as a single faction. So we have one of the new detachments coming up. We have a super heavy detachment. So in effect, you can still rock some command points by taking 3 to 5 knights, as they're classed as Lords of War. And also good for those tank heavy guys from the Imperial Guard, or any other kind of Lord of War option that you want to take. So limited number of models, but you can still take command points with these now. And I think that's a really good way to go. So 5 knights is typically around your 1800, 1850 kind of point, depending on how the new points are going to work, but in 7th edition you can normally squeeze in 5 for a good game. We do have a short profile here on the Knight Errant, so we can see how the wound reduction as they get further and further damaged affects how knights will move, their weapon skill and ballistic skill becoming poorer and poorer once they hit sort of half damage. Very exciting for me. I'm a big Knights fan. I have a large collection of Knights. Can't wait to see how these rock. If you've got 5 Knights, you've got sort of 120 wounds across the 5 Knights. Gonna be great to see. Looking forward to seeing how more faction focuses work, and looking forward to seeing any of your comments, whether you like the new changes here, what you thought of the Q&A, what you think of the new Primarch that should be hitting our shores and our shops very soon. Looking like it's going to be Mortarion from the Death Guard, so another one for the bad guys. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and I shall catch you on the next update.